Welcome to another episode of Slamfire. Guys, thanks for tuning in. I've been watching some of the videos on YouTube, not on YouTube, on BitChute, and I've been seeing a consistent number of people watching us on BitChute. I think that's awesome. I really appreciate you guys, showing us some love and consistently watching those videos. And we don't want to be the type of people that, the type of channel that, like, hey, subscribe to us and do this and do that and like all this crazy uh, networking type stuff and going out of our way just to get extra views and all this, get exposed to an audience. Um, I want our channel to be very much grown naturally, natural growth because you guys, we're producing content that wants to be heard, not like we're forcing some sort of, you know, type of platform onto you guys or something like that. I want it to be natural. With that being said, guys, check out slamfiremedia.com. We have episodes on YouTube, BitChute, and Rumble, so you guys can check that out on the website. You have different links for all the different episodes that we've had. Let's get into it today. Text Ocelot flying solo. Want to talk about several different things. There's a couple things going on that kind of been on my mind that have kind of started getting my mind thinking about different aspects about, I guess it's like psychology, like how people think. And it kind of refers back to the video that we did about the importance of freedom. And this episode kind of want to hovers around that, but not really talking about that. It's mostly about the ideas of how individual opinions are very, very different. People are completely different uh, based off their experiences and based off their culture, their geography, their life experiences, whatever it may be, how their bringings up, right? Like how they were brought up by their parents and life and everything like that. Oh, there was a video that I wanted to bring up that I just totally forgot to prep for it, but man, I can bring it up while we're talking here. But I want to hover around that idea of freedom, that the importance of it, right? That's what we kind of talked about before, the importance of freedom, that how extremely important it is to have freedom because of the fact that everyone's life experiences are different, right? We don't know what another person is experiencing. We can say we do, but we really don't, right? We don't know what's going on in another person's life. We don't know another person's situation. We don't know their physical capabilities. We don't know their mental state, right? We're all just so different. We're all individual people, right? That's why we can't. That's like the big hot topic, the big issue going on with race and everything like that. Everyone's trying to, and that's what like kind of this cold civil war is kind of all about. Like people are trying to lump in one group of people as like a collective, right? All Mexicans are the same. All white people are the same. All Asians are the same. All Hispanics are the same. All black people are the same. It's like that's not true, right? I know, me being Hispanic, a lot of the people that I live around in my community are Hispanic, but I'm very, very different from a lot of them. Same thing with my wife. Both my wife and I are Hispanic. We went to the same school. We grew up and around the same area, but my wife's family and my family are a little bit, not completely different, but we are different types of people. Me and my wife are two different people, right? She has her things that she likes, and I have my things that I like, right? I have one way of thinking, and she has a completely different way of thinking, right? We're all individuals, right? And I think that's where this kind of this natural, what do you want to call it? I guess conflict, this universal conflict that we have, that it is what it is because our experiences are so different, and it's confusing and it's difficult. So it always kind of turns into like this authoritarian type of thing where it's like, no, everybody just let's just do the same thing for everybody because it's easy, right? We don't need to talk about our differences. We don't need to try to cater to one person or another. We need to make everybody equal because it just makes it that much easier. That's what I think. I don't know if it's true or not, but that's just my little, you know how we do it here on Slamfire. I'm just thinking out, just talking out my butt, and I don't really have any data or anything like that to kind of support it. Kind of just really shoot from the hip and do it in very much a Slamfire type way. But that's what I'm thinking it kind of spawns from. I think it's just the idea that it's just so much easier for everybody to think the same. Everybody wants the same thing. Everybody requires the same, has the same necessity. So it just makes controlling and just makes everything in turn easy, right? To control people and to just move along, right? Just kind of turn the handle and just keep things moving along and make it as easy as possible. I don't know. That's kind of what I was thinking about it. But sticking with that, there's some things going on that I wanted to talk about. And again, since I'm flying solo, I didn't want to go into too much philosophical stuff, and because I'll just basically be talking to myself, right? Just kind of I won't have anybody to challenge my ideas and anything like that. So it's not really fair. So I kind of want to just talk about things that are just going on, current news that I found interesting and things like that. So if you guys haven't heard, with Kim Potter in the Minnesota trial with Dante Wright, uh, the the man who was shot by a police officer during a traffic stop. Um, the details of the case, there's a lot going on and everything like that. So I had some time at work these past few days because we had a lot of downtime because of the holidays and things like that. Not really much going on with what I'm doing. So I was able to catch up on some of the videos and listen to some testimony. So I want to do another shout out to last time I did a Ricada Law shout out when we were talking about the Kyle Rittenhouse trial. But Law and Crime Network, this place is awesome. Like, they give you the straight up video feed of the actual trials and everything like that, and it's really really cool. You can just watch the video straight up, and as you guys can see, I've been trying to catch up on everything, watching as many as I can and everything like that. So I kind of left off around right here. Well, actually, I saw this one. Yeah, there we go. I left off here, and these are the more recent videos. So she took the stand and everything like that. Kim Potter, this is the woman who shot Dante Wright, and she's resigned. I believe she didn't retire. She resigned from the police force, so she's no longer a police officer or anything like that. So I haven't gotten into those videos. I started watching this one right here, but I didn't get to finish it. So um, we'll talk about that a little bit more later. But I was watching these videos, and you kind of have like a different perspective here. Like this guy right here, he's a professor at some, like he's basically a professional expert witness. So they basically pay him to give his quote unquote expert, I'm doing air quotes here, expert opinion on, like lethal force and things that have to do with police officer trainings and things like that. So he's literally a professional expert witness. It's very very interesting, and I just find it interesting. If you guys don't know the facts of the case or anything like that, just like kind of look into it if you want. If not, whatever. But I just find it interesting that this guy comes on and he basically he gets paid to be a Monday morning quarterback, and it's just so interesting to say no. If they did this, if they did that, then if this is the particular circumstances, then this is how it should be, right? It should be the same across the board. And it's like, I mean, we're not there. There's no way that I mean, I'm kind of just talking right here, but just to give you guys some context, they talk about what's interesting about this case. I'll go into it a little bit. So where I stand on this case, I'm very much in between. If you guys don't know the details about this case, so um, let me see if I can just pull up a video for context so that you guys can see what's going on here. Believe it's no, I want to say it's this one. I don't want to play the whole video. I just want to show you guys a section of where they show the actual traffic stop. No, that was the one or was it this one? Yeah, this is the taser stuff. Where is it? And this guy,
To present.
I didn't realize this guy was on for so long. Yeah, I'm sorry I didn't prep better for this video, but I wanted to, I really wanted to do this video because um, there was some things going on that I'm going to talk about later on in this video that I really wanted to, it's pretty fresh. No. They actually show oh, I know where it's at. I know where it's at. I know where it's at. It was the other officer, this guy right here. So this officer, he was actually the patrol officer who was who initiated the traffic stop. So this guy right here, Anthony Lucky, he actually is the one that initiated the traffic stop with Dante Wright. So he kind of gives a story, but I don't want to play the video for you guys. Like, you guys know how it is. I don't want to, this whole YouTube stuff and everything like that. So, long story short, the police officer, Officer Lucky, he pulls over this car because he runs the plates, and the plates end up coming up. Let me make this a little bit bigger so you guys can see it. There we go. The plates end up coming back expired. So the plates are expired, so there's reason to pull over. And then he comes up with this other idea. I don't know how he saw it, because like you can see the windows are tinted. That he was going to use there's like an air freshener hanging off the rear of the mirror, the rear view mirror. So they use that. This officer, not Kim Potter, she was actually a field training officer. She was training him at the time. So he decides to pull this car over for the license plate and the air freshener over the rear view mirror, which I don't think was a great thing. That's kind of a nothing thing to do. You know what I mean? It's just an air freshener. It's not really doing anything. But the license plates I can understand, right? So it gives them reason to pull over. So he pulls them over. Turns out this kid does not have a driver's license. There's no insurance. And when he pulls up his name and everything like that, his birthday and all that information, it turns out that he has warrants. Right? The warrants, I believe, is for a weapons charge, and then I want to say a restraining order violation or something like that. But I know one of them for sure is a weapons charge. So this no matter what's happening, the person in the car, this Dante Wright kid, he's going to jail, right? So they go through the whole process, and he ends up going to try to uh, put this person in handcuffs. So once he initiates that whole arresting thing, getting him out of the car and actually trying to put the physical handcuffs on him, that's when things get crazy. So let me just play just a little bit just so that you guys can see what's going on, just so that you see it escalate. Because I don't want to play the whole thing, but just so that you can see how fast it happens.
You got a warrant.
You're not doing nothing.
Don't. You said stop, bro. Don't do it.
So there you go. As you can see, kind of see a butt crack there. I don't know if get censored for that, but anyway, you can see right when he started going into the process of putting the handcuffs on him and getting ready to go. That's it. He makes a quote unquote run for it, right? He tries to make his escape, and that's where everything goes wrong, right? So if you guys don't know, Kim Potter actually pulls out her firearm rather than her taser, knowing that she wanted her taser. You can clearly hear her say that she's warning him that she's going to tase him. So she wanted to tase him. And I'm not going to show the whole video because it has the actual shooting and everything like that, and I'll let you guys watch that at your own discretion if you like to. But she accidentally shoots this kid. He drives off and ends up dying later. Right. So if you can look right here. So originally I thought, like, okay, this Kim Potter lady, she needs to just, like, she's guilty. She's straight up guilty. No matter if it was an accident or not, she was still responsible for killing someone that she didn't intend to kill. Right. But as evidence started coming out, they started talking about how these cops are in a potential dangerous situation. So I never thought about this myself, and it kind of makes sense. Thinking of it from a logical point of view. You guys can call me wrong or whatever, but thinking of it from a logical point of view, they're fighting inside the car here. So we can play a little bit of it. You can see how it is. So this body camera that we're watching, this is actually Kim Potter's body camera. Okay, I'm gonna pause it. I'm not gonna show the shooting. So you can actually see she said that she was gonna tase him, but you can see right here that is not a taser. That is some sort of Glock, right? I don't know if it's a Glock 17 or a Glock 19, but this is a firearm, right? This is a Glock. This doesn't look like a taser. So you can see how they're fighting. He's inside the car. He's trying to obviously drive away, but this is a good angle from the dash cam perspective. You can see that there's another cop over here trying to get him away from getting control of the car. So I didn't think about this. Usually when people get in cars like this, they're trying to drive away, like they're trying to drive forward, right? They're trying to put the car into drive and then just drive off, right? Because obviously they really can't go that far. If they go in reverse, they're not going to go anywhere, right? Because they're going to just run into the patrol car that's behind them, right? They don't want to go backwards. So what if this guy what if Dante Wright was actually made a mistake and put the car into reverse and not into drive? I don't know what kind. This is a Buick. I'm pretty sure. I don't know of any Buicks that are automatic transmission, or manual transmission. I'm pretty sure the majority of them are automatic transmission. So if you guys notice, those of us who drive, the reverse gear is very close to the drive gear, right? You really have to pay attention to when you're in reverse, to when you're going to pull out, or when you're actually going to go into drive, and make sure you're in drive and make sure you're in reverse, right? Because they're pretty much right next to each other. So, and I never thought about this, the fact that these two officers are in danger right there. This officer over here, like almost his whole body's in there, at least half of his body's inside the car, he's in danger. Because what if this guy is able to what if he actually puts the car in reverse by accident? He doesn't mean to do it, but what if he puts the car into reverse by accident, knocks knocks these drivers over, puts the car into drive, and then drives off and rolls, get one of the officers get caught up and rolled under the car. So these police officers, anybody here on these side, on these open doors, is in a potentially dangerous situation. I think that's why they're fighting so hard to not let him drive off, because of that potential that he's not going to drive forward. He could put the car into reverse and drive backwards and put them in danger. So she was wrong. Don't get me wrong. She was still wrong, because she obviously intended to use her taser. But was she also wrong in that she shouldn't have used her taser? Because they were potentially in a dangerous position here. I don't know, guys. Like, I'm not trying to say what is and what isn't, if this is correct, if this is right, or if this is wrong, what she did was right or what she did was wrong. It's just the idea behind it, that these cops could be potentially in a dangerous situation. Do they have the authority? Do they have the, yeah, I guess the authority to say, like, we need to stop this guy, we need to do something, whether it's shoot him or tase him, to eliminate this threat? Because this is a potential threat. We're not shooting to kill him, we're not tasing him to kill him, but we're using those two options, those deadly force options, because we want to stop the threat. I don't know. I just found that piece of evidence interesting, because I never thought about it before then, because I always imagined cars just driving forward, right? They don't really want to go backwards, because like we said earlier, they're just going to bump in, crash into the cruiser, and it's like, okay, we didn't go anywhere. You want to keep going, right? You want to go forward. You want to get away. So that was just an interesting aspect, because the whole thing around it was that she used the taser, and she didn't use the taser, but there was actually another testimony by, let me go back, by the former chief of police, which was this guy, Timothy Gannon. He was the former chief of police while Kim Potter was an officer. he basically testified. We're not going to play the whole. I watched this whole thing, guys. I'm not going to play the whole thing, but he basically testified that what he saw from the dash cam video, from the body cam video, all of the video that they had available, she did not go against policy. What she did was correct. Of course, we have a professional Monday morning quarterback say otherwise, and then this guy kind of this guy also too. He was this guy was paid on retainer. Actually, they paid this guy. The prosecution paid this guy for his testimony. They paid him like they owed him like $9,000 or something like that. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong about that, but they this guy charges by the hour. I think it's like $200 an hour, $250 an hour, and they retain him for like I don't remember like 30 some hours of work or something like that. Let me just do quick math if I'm right or wrong. 200. He said it was 250, I think, times 30 hours. Yeah, something like that. And he said it came out to like maybe $9,000. So somewhere around that ballpark. He was being paid to testify. Like I said, this guy is basically a professional expert witness. That's like his job. He goes around and just, testifies to certain things where they need an expert's opinion. This guy does the same thing too, but this guy seems a little bit more in the know than this guy, because all this guy does, I think he was just a cop for like 4 or 5 years. He wasn't. He was just a regular officer for 4 or 5 years, whereas this guy, he's been in the game for like 20 some years. I think he was even a chief of police at one point. This guy is like the go-to. I think this guy is more of an expert witness than this guy. And this guy was not paid at all. He was there basically, quote unquote, pro bono. He volunteered to testify for Kim Potter because um, he believed he believed that they were justified in using deadly force. And then when the chief of police came on and talked about how after reviewing everything that she followed the policy, it started getting me thinking again, started getting me thinking about what we were talking about. How was this justified? And she made the mistake on her own because she obviously didn't want to shoot him. You heard in the video, right? You heard her say taser. So she warned the guy. She said that, "Oh, I'm going to tase you. You're going to get tased." Like kind of warning him, letting him know like, "Hey, if you don't stop, you're going to receive a shot from a taser." But that didn't work. Nothing worked. So she, you know, pulled out what she thought was a taser and fired because she thought it was going to be a taser. And yeah, she knew that she had made wrong right after that because she just breaks down and realized like, oh my God, I shot him. I shot him. Like I didn't. It wasn't the taser, and she just broke down, had a basically a breakdown because she did something that she didn't want to do. She was a police officer. She didn't want to hurt anybody. At least I don't believe that she wanted to hurt anybody. She was just trying to get someone to comply, and she just made the worst mistake possible. And yeah, I think no matter what happens, I think she still should serve some time because ultimately she did shoot him. She did shoot him, but I will find it interesting if they find her not guilty, if they find the shooting justified, because they were in a situation where deadly force could have been used or could have been justified because they were potentially in a dangerous situation. They were in a life-threatening situation or a situation that could cause serious bodily harm. So I just find that very, very interesting. So if you guys haven't been watching this, if you guys are interested, I would check out Law and Crime Network. Very, 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 very good stuff. And it's just straight feed. Like there's no commentary, there's nothing like that. You can just take it all um, straight from the cow's teat. Like just no bias or anything. It is what it is. Really, really good stuff. So I would highly encourage you guys to check this out. So moving on to our next topic. So, kind of leading into that, there are going to be people with this case, there are going to be people that you can't change their minds. Like, this girl needs to die in prison. She needs to receive life. She needs to receive the maximum thing because she killed this person and there's no redemption for that, and she's just the evil person. There are gonna be people like that, and the reality is you cannot convince these people otherwise. You cannot convince them otherwise. I heard a conversation about another uh, thing that came up in court where it was in Colorado, I believe, where a man was driving an 18 wheeler, a big rig trucker rig, and he crashed and killed four people and things like that. And they gave I might be getting it wrong, but he was involved in a major accident where people died. I want to say it was three or four people died because his brakes failed. His brakes failed, and it led to an accident where so many people died, and he ended up receiving like 110 years because the law states that those charges need to be served consecutively. That's just how the law in Colorado works. However, it works for when sentencing and things like that, that he had to serve those consecutively. So it ended up being um, adding up to 110 years. Of course, it's going to be appealed and everything like that. But there were people that were saying like, no, it was he got that because he was Mexican or because he was of Latino culture or whatever. It's like, no, he got that. It had nothing to do with his race. It had to do with the fact that that's how the law is structured in that particular state. The judge even said it himself, and they don't even care about that evidence. They don't care about the fact that the judge said, my hands are tied. I have to enforce the law like this because that's the way the law is written. It has nothing to do with the person's race. But they're going to believe that. Just like here, he wanted to shoot, this girl, Kim Potter, wanted to shoot uh, Dante Wright because he was black and she was white, and she saw him as a dangerous person, and she was scared for her life because he was black. No, she shot him because she made a mistake, thinking that her firearm was a taser. She thought that her Glock was a taser. No, it's not because she was black. It's not because he was black and she was white and she was racist. No, it's because that she made the mistake of thinking that her Glock was a taser when it wasn't. And there's no amount you can show them the video, you can show them the evidence, you can show them all this stuff. They'll never believe it. So this leads me to the next this is kind of like a hot topic right now. This is like one of the first things that we talk about on this channel that's like fresh. Like this is like you can feel the heat off the stove on this one. This one's coming in hot. So you guys have seen me do it before. You've seen us do it on here. We mentioned Timcast, timcast.com. So timcast.com, you guys know they post on YouTube, they post on Rumble, they post on different media platforms just like we do, but they have a website where they have videos and everything like that, and they have a members only. So um, this interview happened a few days ago, but you will not find this on YouTube. This is only on timcast.com for members only. So if you don't know what happened, let me play you a quick video of what happened. So if you guys don't know who Tim Pool is, a lot of us should know who Tim Pool is, especially around the podcast world and the social media world and things like that. He's a pretty popular podcaster, journalist, freelance journalist type of thing, because they try to do journalism and everything like that. But for the most part, they kind of do a podcast and they just talk about kind of like what we do, right? They talk about news articles and things like that, but they're more um, precise is the word I want to I'm thinking about. They get their facts as correct as possible so that they lay out the facts in a way that can come to uh, a conclusion that's based off of the actual facts, not just assumptions, kind of like what we do on here on Slamfire, where we can just kind of talk about something about what we think in a logical aspect. Timcast and the podcast and the people that work behind the scenes for their show, they're more of a facts type of thing. It's just like they're based off of facts, just going off of facts, right? And that's very, very good. So they invited this guy on the show called Rugged Man. I believe that's what it was called. I don't have the name on here. So you can you saw it right there a little bit. So right here, the Rugged Man. So I don't know how to pronounce his name. Ra the Rugged Man. I think that's a typo. Ra the Rugged Man or Duh the Rugged Man. I think it's R.A. R.A. the Rugged Man. I don't really remember. But this guy, he's basically like a hip hop guy. He's basically like in the rap game, I guess. I had heard about him a little bit, but I didn't know too much about him. I just heard about him through like, Immortal Technique and Jedi Mind Tricks and Vinny Paz and all those guys up in New York and stuff like that. All the Nassau, area people, Nassau Chainsaw and all these murder rap type of artists and things like that. I just kind of heard around. I only knew him through that Vietnam, what's it called? Valor, Vietnam story, something like that. It's a song that talks about the Vietnam War and someone's personal experience going through the Vietnam War, and it's pretty interesting. I think it's about his dad or something. I don't really remember. It's an old song. I used to listen to it when I was in high school and things like that. But he's been around the quote unquote rap game, I guess, whatever you want to call it, for a long time. And he got invited onto Timcast to do their little episodes that they normally do. So just to play it for you, just so that you guys can see what's going on or hear what's going on, there is some language on here. I think they just say the word bitch, but nothing happens. It's just talking and it gets heated. So just I'm gonna play this just so that you can get context.
You are.
normal.
You
I'm not
are.
that
You
guy.
actually are, dude. You are that
No, I'm
guy.
talking about I'm not that guy that fucking screaming at, bitch. You wanna get fucked up? Huh?
All right.
Who the fuck you screaming at, bitch?
Let's calm down.
You gotta cut it, man.
You think you
I'm
can?
talking, I'm not that guy. You don't disrespect me, bitch. Let me bang, man. I wanna do that.
So that is like a little edited clip, but that's just a quick little video of what actually happened. So they were basically talking about different aspects, but it mostly came down to like racism, talking about how this rugged guy was basically talking about how uh, nothing compares to the racism that black people have experienced. Black people have this is the impression that I got off of this guy, that it doesn't matter what you have experienced because it doesn't compare to the amount of racism and the amount of what's the word that he used a lot? This forgot the word that he used. It was just a buzzword that they use all the time, like the systemic racism and the dis yeah, disproportional amount of racism that black people face on a daily basis. Whatever you experience in your life does not compare to that. So all you're trying to do is basically take take away the struggles of black people through your struggles. So it's like no one else can have struggles. Only black people can have struggles. Only black people and Hispanics and those minorities, those buzz minorities, can have struggles. No one else can have struggles because it's not as bad as what Hispanics and black people have experienced in terms of systemic racism, which is completely absurd. It's just completely absurd. The idea is completely absurd. But what I find interesting is oh my goodness, what happened?
They have it worse than I do. I literally just said that.
So this video actually puts it into better context. It shows like what they were talking about leading up to it and everything like that, and it shows him getting upset and everything like that. Where I'll leave this up to you guys to go and watch this on your own. I don't want to show you too much because again, you guys know how we are here. I'll leave you guys to do your own due diligence and look this stuff up yourself. So all I just did was I went to Twitter and I typed in up here uh, Tim Pool Rugged Man, and you can find links and stuff like that to all these videos that they'll give more context and everything like that. But what I find interesting is the the out the what is it? What would it be? It was like the complete lack of restraint that this rugged man had, or this rugged guy had. Like he just completely like went off the handle when he got upset when he thought that this person, Tim Pool, was disrespecting him and talking down to him like he was a child or something like that. And that was just something so interesting because I actually watched the whole it was like a 2-hour podcast that they had, and this guy was basically laughing at the struggles of other people, but he gets very defensive. He gets very upset when he's basically called out on, basically called out for what he is, which is a racist. And that's just plain and simple. That there's no way around it. I mean, there can be people who can argue otherwise, but they're wrong. This guy is just straight up racist. Just saying that only black people can have racial struggles, only black people can be victims of racism, is just completely false. That's it's just completely false and ignorant. Whether he actually believes that that's completely false, or if he's just using it as a type of virtue signaling, or if he's doing it to just like be spicy. You know what I mean? Like maybe he's just saying it just to kind of be uh, edgy with people and be like, man, it's just trying to to push people's buttons. It's still pretty messed up to make fun of somebody because of quote unquote injustices that have happened to them or their family, when they're completely open about it. Because Tim Pool's pretty open about the things that he talks about, whether they're true or not. I have to leave it up to him. I cannot just say like, no, that didn't happen. It also leaves the concept that maybe he did make some of it up. Maybe he is lying about it. But I'm pretty sure the way the internet is and the way how everyone's life can just be looked up in a matter of minutes. Like, just there's think tanks out there that freelance think tanks that just know everything about everything. I'm pretty sure they can discredit them really quick if it was true. But I'm willing to believe if someone told me that something happened to them and their family when they were growing up, I'm more inclined to believe them than otherwise. But the fact that this rugged guy was just saying like, no, because you look, and that's one thing that he was saying too, is like, you look white, so therefore you cannot have any struggles. Even when certain things happen to you and I tell you that these things are happening to me, I still can't believe you because you look white. Look at Tim. Look, he looks white, right? He's got a white complexion, so that means he must have a good life. Everything must be easy for him because he's white. That's just such an ignorant thing to say. It's racist. It's pretty much racist because it's saying that you have a good life because of your skin color and people have a bad life because of their skin color. That it's just completely ridiculous. It's just completely ridiculous. So this leads me to the next big point that I really want to talk about. And when I started realizing this, like I don't want to be bashing on anybody. I don't want to be bashing on this rugged guy. Like, he's free to think what he wants to think. He's free to believe what he wants to believe. But him lashing out like that and getting up and getting all defensive and just puffing up and like acting like I'm gonna start something. I'm gonna threaten you because I can't control my emotions. Like I think he did that because his status quo, his reality was basically crumbling around him. Like he was being copped out as a racist. He was being copped out as a person who would be shunned by Martin Luther King because he says that people should, you know, we all kind of know the general idea of Martin Luther King is that people should be judged by the content of the character and not by the color of their skin, right? It's common sense stuff. But this guy tends to believe that that's not the case. They use an example in the podcast. They use an example of if you have two directors, one white and one black. They both have the same credentials. They both have the same amount of skill, right? They're both good directors. So what should be used to determine who gets the job to direct this movie or whatever? So the guy said, the rugged dude says that, oh, you should give it to the black guy because if there are 85% white people that are working there, you need to have diversity in there. It's like just for the sake of diversity. And that's racist. That's racist. You're saying you didn't get that job because of what you did or how good you are. You got that job because you're black. That's racist. That's just like someone getting a job because they're male or they're female or whatever. That's sexist, right? If something happens to you primarily because of your race, then that is by definition racism. So I don't think that this guy could handle the fact that he was a racist and he was basically being exposed by Tim and everybody that you are that guy. You are a racist. And I think they took it the wrong way. Like the guy said, like, you're talking, he basically called Tim a bitch. And then Tim said, you are that guy, like almost saying like, no, you're the bitch, right? That's the impression that everyone's trying to get. But the idea is like, no, you're the guy. You're the one that's the problem. Like you're the one that's actually hurting black people because you are in favor of of black victimhood. So nothing that anybody can do will ever be enough to resolve the issues of racism in the past. But racism specifically to black people. It doesn't matter if you're a racist to Asians. It doesn't matter if you're racist to white people. It doesn't matter if you're racist to Slavic people. It doesn't matter if you're racist to Irish people. It's only black people, and that is just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. Like the concept of the concept of only black people are victims of racism is just ridiculous. It's not even debatable. And this kind of leads me to the main point of what I want to leave off on is that there are people that you are just not going to convince. You're just not going to convince. And it made me think immediately of that of the KGB defector in the 1980s, Yuri Bezmenov or something like that. I have his YouTube video here. Let me pull that up here on the top somewhere. There we go. It's Yuri Bezmenov right here. He was a defector from the KGB, and he talks about the 3 steps to basically destroying a country. And I really want to play this whole video because it's extremely important to prove, to not proving my point, but just tying these two ideas together, that there are just some people that you will not convince. Let's play this really quick.
Mr. Bezmenov was born in 1939 in a suburb of Moscow. He was the son of a high-ranking Soviet Army officer. He was educated in the elite schools inside the Soviet Union and became an expert in Indian culture and Indian languages. He had an outstanding career with Novosti, which was and still is, I should say, the press arm or the press agency of the Soviet Union. It turns out that this is also a front for the KGB. He escaped to the West in 1970 after becoming totally disgusted with the Soviet system, and he did this at great risk to his life. He certainly is one of the world's outstanding experts on the subject of Soviet propaganda and disinformation and active measures. Well, you spoke several times before about ideological subversion. That is a phrase that I'm afraid some Americans don't fully understand. When the Soviets use the phrase ideological subversion, what do they mean by it?
Ideological subversion is the slow process which we call either ideological subversion or active measures, активные мероприятия in the language of the KGB, or psychological warfare. What it basically means is to change the perception of reality of every American to such an extent that despite of the abundance of information, no one is able to come to sensible conclusions in the interests of defending themselves, their families, their community, and their country. It's a great brainwashing process which goes very slow, and it's divided in 4 basic stages. The first one being demoralization. It takes from 15 to 20 years to demoralize a nation. Why that many years? Because this is the minimum number of years which requires to educate 1 generation of students in the country of your enemy, exposed to the ideology of the enemy. In other words, Marxism-Leninism ideology is being pumped into the soft heads of at least 3 generations of American students without being challenged or counterbalanced by the basic values of Americanism, American patriotism. The demoralization process in the United States is basically completed already. For the last 25 years, actually it's overfulfilled, because demoralization now reaches such areas where previously not even Comrade Andropov and all his experts would even dream of such a tremendous success. Most of it is done by Americans to Americans, thanks to lack of moral standards. As I mentioned before, exposure to true information does not matter anymore. A person who was demoralized is unable to assess true information. The facts tell nothing to him. Even if I shower him with information, with authentic proof, with documents, with pictures, even if I take him by force to the Soviet Union and show him concentration camp, he will refuse to believe it until he is going to receive a kick in his fat bottom. When a military boot crashes his balls, then he will understand, but not before that. That's the tragic of the situation of demoralization. The next stage is destabilization. This time, subverter does not care about your ideas and the patterns of your consumption. Whether you eat junk food and get fat and flabby, it doesn't matter anymore. This time, and it takes only from 2 to 5 years to destabilize a nation, what matters is essentials: economy, foreign relations, defense systems. And you can see it quite clearly that in some areas, in such sensitive areas as defense and economy, the influence of Marxist-Leninist ideas in the United States is absolutely fantastic. I could never believe it 14 years ago when I landed in this part of the world that the process will go that fast. The next stage, of course, is crisis. It may take only up to 6 weeks to bring a country to the verge of crisis. You can see it in Central America now. And after crisis, with a violent change of power, structure, and economy, you have so-called the period of normalization. It may last indefinitely. Normalization is a cynical expression borrowed from Soviet propaganda. When the Soviet tanks moved into Czechoslovakia in '68, Comrade Brezhnev said, "Now the situation in brotherly Czechoslovakia is normalized." This is what will happen in the United States if you allow all these schmucks to bring the country to crisis, to promise people all kind of goodies and the paradise on earth, to destabilize your economy, to eliminate the principle of free market competition, and to put a big brother government in Washington, D.C., with benevolent dictators like Walter Mondale, who will promise lots of things, never mind whether the promises are fulfillable or not. Your leftists in the United States, all these professors and all these beautiful civil rights defenders, they are instrumental in the process of the subversion only to destabilize the nation. When their job is completed, they are not needed anymore. They know too much. Some of them, when they get disillusioned, when they see that Marxist-Leninists come to power, obviously they get offended. They think that they will come to power. That will never happen, of course. They will be lined up against the wall and shot. But they may turn into the most bitter enemies of Marxist-Leninists when they come to power. And that's what happened in Nicaragua. You remember most of these former Marxist-Leninists were either put to prison or one of them split, and now he's working against Sandinistas. It happened in Grenada when Maurice Bishop was already a Marxist. He was executed by a new Marxist who was more Marxist than this Marxist. Same happened in Afghanistan when first there was Taraki, he was killed by Amin, then Amin was killed by Babrak Karmal with the help of KGB. Same happened in Bangladesh when Mujibur Rahman, very pro-Soviet leftist, was assassinated by his own Marxist-Leninist military comrades. It's the same pattern everywhere. The time bomb is ticking.
So, if you guys are paying attention, very, very interesting stuff that this guy is talking about. So the thing that stood out for me, the way I'm going to link this, is the demoralization stage. The demoralization stage where he talked about there's nothing that you can do to prove that these people are wrong. You can show them photos, you can show them papers, you can show them evidence, you can take them to actually see the physical evidence. In this case, he's talking about the communist camps and the concentration camps and things like that. You can go and show them that this is what communism leads to, and Marxism leads to. You can show them the evidence. They still won't believe it. That's how strong this demoralization, this tactic is. How potent this demoralization tactic is. And I believe that the way that this guy lashed out is proof that this has worked. That we are a nation that is demoralized. We are most certainly destabilized, and we are experiencing crises, and we are going through all of the stages where now we're at the bitter end where everything is becoming normal. And I think that that's what has happened. That it's normal to say like, oh, uh, there was another shooting. Like, oh, a black guy got shot. I was like, yeah, that happens all the time. That's normal. Normal for black people to get shot. It's become part of our everyday thinking. That's just what it is. And I don't know. It's just that this video just stood out for me when I was listening to this guy, uh, just completely put up defensive walls, just put up psychological walls where someone would say something that was actually happening, give evidence of what they're saying is not true, and the defensive wall would come up, and it would be like he would laugh at you. He would laugh at them in their face and be like, "That didn't happen. You got to show me proof." And I guarantee you, if they were to come out and show him actual proof, he would find a way to dismiss it as well because he is so demoralized. He you cannot, there's no amount of evidence that will convince him otherwise. And again, I don't want to say this to pick on this rugged dude guy or whatever. It's not him. It's just like this Yuri Bezmenov, uh, Beznov. I'm pronouncing his name wrong. Yuri Bezmenov's uh, analysis is talking about that it's this leftist ideology that we're doing this for a greater good, we're doing this for the betterment of everybody because they think that they're the ones on the right. They think that they're doing this based off of virtue, but in the end they're not going to be needed when everything has gone to crap. And I think those two things tie off very well, and it's very evident in that video. If you guys check out that video, that Tim Pool rugged dude video, the guy just gets straight up defensive, and it realizes like the walls are crumbling in on him, and he's realizing I am that guy. So what's the best he can do? Just lash out and get upset about it, and try to defend himself violently because logically he knows he's in the wrong. Logically he's wrong, and morally he's wrong, and he cannot live with that. He cannot, his psyche cannot deal with that strain, so it goes into defense mode. I just found that very, very interesting. So again, guys, I know it's kind of a long video, but a lot of things came up, and I'm doing this video actually very late. It's actually like 2 in the morning for me right now. But I had these things bothering me. They were in my brain, and I thought I better talk about them now because I'm gonna forget about it in the morning, right? Whenever I do wake up, because me and my wife are actually on break, so it works out for us. So again, guys, just to do a little quick recap, I highly recommend to check out Law and Crime YouTube channel, Law and Crime Network. Very, very good stuff, just unbiased, straight from the teat. And on Tim Pool, if you guys want to watch that video, it's pretty spicy. Uh, just type in Tim Pool Rugged Man on Twitter, and you'll find the videos, no problem, and everything like that. But yes, this video about um, how to basically destroy a country is very, 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 very discerning, very concerning actually, because we can actually see all this playing out today. Very, very interesting stuff. So again, guys, I love to stay true to our model. Like never let root take evil. Try to expose as much as you can, get the truth out there, but understand, know that there are gonna be people who just are not gonna be reached. That's not your fault. That's just how it is. They don't want to be reached. It's all about personal choice. It's kind of like religion, like a religious type of thing where God doesn't force, whatever your belief system is, no religion should force you to believe in a certain idea, right? It's all a matter of choice. People choose to have faith, right? It's not forced upon them. Maybe there's a situation out there where it is forced upon them, but at the end of the day, for the most part, generally speaking, at least in the United States, we choose to believe in a certain thing, right? And that choice is very, very much important. And we cannot force people to think a certain way. We cannot force people to change anything. And that's what I kind of want to leave off with what Yuri said, that that's the tragedy That's the tragedy of this, that there's nothing that will convince these people except the boot. The boot is going to be the only thing that's going to change these people. That's the tragedy of it. You can't change them otherwise. And by the time you change them, it's either too late, and you have to go through that violent process, right? And we kind of see how that guy lashed out, and it can turn violent. Very, very, I hate to like throw this out there and scare everybody, but it's just, I don't know. I just found it interesting, something to talk about. So remember, guys, thanks for watching Slamfire. We're on YouTube, BitChute, and Rumble. Check out slamfiremedia.com. Leave us a comment, leave us a subscription, whatever you want to do. Thank you guys. You guys on BitChute have been really, really awesome. I'll throw a shout out to you guys. You guys are very shy. Like, it's like people, like 20, 25 people consistently watching our videos, but no one leaves any comments. Don't be afraid to let us know what you guys think. Like, we're still free, for the most part, to say what we think. If you guys think we're wrong about something, let us know. I don't mind hearing someone else's opinion, letting us know what you all think. All right, guys. Thank you guys for listening. Check it out. Check us out, slamfiremedia.com. This has been Slamfire. Take it easy.